Good morning, good afternoon, good night. This is Ethan Almond with Blue Bunny Books, reading from Rakkety Tam's chapter 24. Morning brought with it a sky of light washed blue, with not a cloud to cross the sun's passage. Already Captain Zurg was awake. He bit into a hard green apple, pulled a wry face, and spat out the mouthful of the sour fruit. He threw the rest of it to Frida, who was still sleeping. She sat up, rubbing her face. What was that for? The fox captain pointed to the open sward between the South Abbey wall and the trees where the vermin lay. See thy scouts, the two who were so good and reliable? Fergal was stumbling on all fours through the grass with the slain Grudu tied across his back. Frida kicked some nearby ermine into wakefulness. Rouse thyselves and help them quickly. They scurried out and dragged the two big foxes back into the woodlands. Vernon crowded around, severing the bonds from the pair, thrusting his way through the onlookers. Zurger's contemptuous glance shot from a carcass of Grudu's to Fergal, who was lying on his back. Zurgo shook his head at the sight of Fergal's battered face. Well, tell me how they befell thee. The big fox mumbled from between his swollen lips. Water! The white fox captain returned his plea with a sharp kick. Report first and tell me all. Speak! Fergal stumbled through the events of the past night haltingly. When he reached to the account of the fight with Wonwil, Zurg stopped him scornfully. Do you mean to say that a single rabbit did this to thee with only his paws, whilst thou were fully armed? Fergal sobbed brokenly. Aye, Captain, they're called hares, not rabbits. He could have slain me, but he spared my life to bring you a message from their leader, one they call Brigadier. Fremont came forward, administering the beaten fox a few sips of water from her canteen. Say on, what did this Brigadier Hare tell thee? Fergal managed to sit up shakingly. He said that if we stay in this place, we will all die. His warriors have sworn vengeance on Lord Gullo and all who follow him. Captain, he gives you until the settling of the sun to be gone from Redwall Abbey. Zurg thrust his chin forward belligerently. Or what? Fergal repeated Crimshaw's words as accurate as he could. Or he shall meet ye on the west flatwards to give blood and vinegar with no surrender. Then one, a captain like thee, also said to make sure I told thee this. He said that whether we stand and fight or choose to run like cowardly scum, the hares along patrol will not rest until we are all staring at Hell's Gates through dead eyes, and our bones lie bleaching in the sun. A hush fell around the vermin. Fergal and Gradu had been two fearsome fighters, but now one lay dead and the other one was reduced to a beaten, pitiable creature. Sensing the mood of his followers, Zurg drew his curved sword and tested its edge. By licking the blade, it was obviously show of bravado. Ha! Threats mean little to warriors like Lord of Grolu. We came not from the lands of ice beyond the great sea to be frightened by the words of rabbits. Fergal stood up. He began pacing to the left toward the path, his voice rising as he replied to Zurg's boast. Those beasts are not rabbits, they are hares, fighting hares. You do not face them, Captain, I did. And I know they are well able to carry out their vow of vengeance. Only a fool would stay here. You will all die. He turned and broke into a shambling run. Zurg snatched a spear from the ermine and flung it with swift accuracy. An easy target for now lay dead, his body slumped face down with the spear shaft protruding from between his shoulders. In a great show of swaggering, Zurg pulled out the weapon, tossing it back to its owner. The fox captain's sword waved in an arc at the rest of the vermin. In a harsh, commanding voice, he ground out the ultimatum. Run now if you want to join Fergal. The vermin and the foxes stood motionless. Zurg pointed to his blade at the abbey and proclaimed boldly, when the Lord Guru arrives here, we will be sitting inside the place, eating the flesh of our enemies. I will give you my word on it. The vermin were scurrying from the woodlands for anything they could make a meal of. When Frida came to where Zurg sat at the tree fringe, well, Captain, will you meet the hares on the flatlands at tomorrow's dawn? Zurg snorted. Do you take me for an idiot? What beast would carry out this foe's orders? Frida chewed on a grass blade. Thou art a brave beast, Zurg, but thy sense often deserts thee. Zurich snatched the grass from its. How so? Vixen plucked another stalk, replacing it. Had I questioned for a girl, I would have asked him certain things. How many creatures did he see at the Abbey? What was the number of fighting beasts who looked like peaceful ones? Another thing, before he was captured, did Fergal see a way in? A loose gate, a wall would be easily to climb, maybe a good spot where a tunnel might be dug? There was more I could have asked him. Did they have victuals and drink aplenty in there, enough to withstand the siege? Now ye have slain Fargirl, many questions still need answers. Zurich knew the sly vixen had the advantage of him. So, what do we do now, Frida? She shook her head teasingly. Oh no, what do you do? I'm not a captain in command. That is thy decision. Zurich noticed his eyes thoughtfully. What do you want? Tell me. Frida spat out grass stalk. Her face hardened before she replied. 2 things. Revenge on Gulu for my shard, and half of everything we gain. Zurich smiled, and realizing it was now his turn to tease. A tall order, but I fear Gulu, not you. He will come to this place, no, do not doubt it, so why should I cast my lot in with thine? The vixen played captain like a fish on a line, drawing him in with her reasoning. That Abbey is the key to all, Zurich. Without the right plan, not even Gulu and 10 times our number could conquer such a place. Gulu is blood, fur, and bone like any beast. He cannot break through stone blocks with fang and claw. I'm not returning to the lands of ice to fear Gulu and serve him. If we were inside the fortress, he could not harm us. Think of it. We could live in ease and plenty as creatures in there do now. You are in command and others will follow you, but we need more brain than brawn. I have the brain. Zurich stared up at the southern ramparts. And ye have a plan for getting inside there? Frida nodded decisively. I have an excellent plan. She held out her paw. But it must be carried out by we two. If we work together, the victory will be ours. Zurich clasped her paw tightly. I am with ye. Friar Grissom and Brigadier Crummsaw were in the pantry, sampling some of the latest autumn's rusted apples and discussing their merits over October ale and mature cheese. Kersley came dashing in, her words pouring forth at breaknecking pace. Beg pardon, sir, but the hawk reports the vermin outside the wall south. They're carrying a flag of truce. I think they want to parley, sir. Cromer wiped his lips fastidiously on a spotted handkerchief. Oh, they do indeed. Well, lead on, young'un. Let's see what the scoundrels have to say for themselves. What? Sergeant Onewill was at the bottom of the steps with 3 other hares restraining the angry goshawk. He saluted smartly. Sir, this is a hawk wants to open the south wall gate to slay the vermin. I had convinced him that he couldn't do it. The beast under the flag to truce, sir. The brigadier marched past Terra again, tapping his beak with a swagger stick. You feel my friend, but dispatching the foe under a flag of truce, 'tis not done in the best of circles, old chap. Bad form, don't you know? Blinkin' bad form. What? Grushok squawked up the steps after him. Craw, kill all vermin. What? Not talk, kill. Kremsaw polished his eyeglasses and squinched his cheek around it. He sniffed, gazing in disgust at the trio of vermin with the strained, tampering scrap atop a spear pole. Zurich called up to him. Be ye the one they call Brigadier? Crumshaw leaned on the battlement, his voice dripping to sentence. At your service? And who am I, pray, I'm addressing? Zurich drew his sword and rapped his chest with the blade. I serve Grolo the Savage. I am Captain Zurich. The brigadier did not sound impressed. Are ye indeed? Then some blighter ought to teach you the rules of war and combat, thickhead. You don't come to parley under a flag and truce bearing arms. Chuck that force sticker away, or I won't bandy words with you. Go on, sling it. The White Fox captain shot Crumster a murderous glare. Then he put the sword down upon the grass. The brigadier snorted. That's better. What? Now state your business, sir. Zurich tried to look as tough as he could under the circumstances. He pointed skyward, announcing, At tomorrow's dawn we will slay you and eat you. The statement seemed to improve the brigadier's mood. He smiled. Well, good on you, old scruff. You mean to say you actually accept our challenge? What? Frida, who was standing beside the ermine spearholder, smiled back at Crumshaw. You are old. We will have to roast you a long time before you're tender enough to eat. Crimsaw pulled a face of mock horror at the vixen. Our treacherous table manners, marm. Still, I hope I taste as good as that poor wretch you made your flag of truce from. Zeri glanced at the greasy strip of Fergal's hide, which is served as the flag of truce. He bared his fangs. He was an enemy. The warriors of Gulur the Savage come from a land where enemies are eaten. When dawn comes, we will eat you. Crimsword twirled his mustache casually. Listen, Laddie Vermin, my long patrol are pretty tough old to chew. I have a feeling they'll stick in your flippin' throat. What? Touch enough of this twaddle. Run along now and take your last sleep. See you at dawn out in the western flats. Don't be late now. I can be jolly hard to latecomers. Off you go now. Bye-bye. The brigadier suddenly dropped down behind the wall top as 4 arrows zipped by overhead. One Will came bounding up the steps. Are you all right, sir? Dirty scum firing arrows over a flag of truce. Wait till I get me paws on them. Crimsol marched briskly down the wall steps. Wouldn't have expected anything else from those cats. I feel sorry for their mothers. Imagine having to bring up bounders like that. What? Sister Armel and Umba Molmum were escorting some of the Dibbons down to Brother Dimble's vegetable patch. With the hares staying at the abbey, there was a constant demand for Friar Grissom's for more salad greens. They were startled by the mighty roar from the wall top. It was Long Patrol's battle cry. Oolale! Young Kersey came by, waving a javelin. First time since her brother's death. She was laughing. Brother Dimble emerged from behind the berry hedge, dusting earth from his paws. He called out to Kersley, Are we being attacked, miss? Shall I get a little ones indoors? The young hare twirled her javelin in the air and caught it. Oh no, sir, it's the patrol. We are going to do battle with the vermin tomorrow at dawn. Out on the flat ones, forward the buffs, and no surrender. Oolale! Sister Armel was horrified at Kersley's obvious enjoyment. How can she laugh and cheer at such a thing? Umbo Mosum shook her velvety head. Oh, don't know, my dearie. While peaceable creatures who knows nothing about killing and slaying. Brother Dimbo watched the hares leaping with joy on the wall tops. It's a mystery sure enough, sister, but we're simple abbey beasts, and they're the warriors, born to the art of war. Fighting is in their blood, you see. Mudge, the mole babe, struck up the boxing pose, and he had seen Sergeant One Will do. Oh, I've been a good warrior, sir. Brother Dimble could not help smiling at the little fellow. Oh, I'm sure you are, Mudge, but you're too young, and us Redwallers know little of fighting. So I suppose we should be grateful for the hares. Armel shrugged. I suppose so, brother, but why do creatures have to fight? Dumble picked Mudge up and placed him on his shoulders. Because there's always good and bad in the land, and good bees have to protect their families, and families from evil ones who want nothing but to conquer and destroy. The Mulbane patted the gardener's head. You're right, sir. To be continued with Chapter 25. Love you. Please like and subscribe.